I really like the new, smaller Marvel Modular line, which is why I bought them all. These are great since compared to the normal modulars, they take up less space. 8 of these building modules can fit into the size of one modular building base. So as many LEGO collectors know in this hobby, you can quickly run out of space. And many buildings don't even sacrifice detail and in some cases look better. And so naturally I wanted to expand the city to space out some of the more recognizable buildings from each other. So I made 3 mid-sized buildings we'll be looking at today. First up is the Nelson and Murdoch Attorneys at Law building. This dark red building is partially inspired by the Netflix show. Inside is fully detailed. On their ground level, Matt, Foggy, and Karen are reviewing their case connecting Kingpin to a shady shell company. Outside, a nice car rolls up, and at their door is Wesley, Kingpin's lawyer, who wishes to speak to Matt and Foggy about their case. They go upstairs to their meeting room and are given a counter-defamation suit, basically tying their hands and moving forward with their case. Matt, being upset, goes downstairs and decides to investigate a building the shell company recently purchased. At the building, Matt uses his blindness as an excuse for knocking on the door. It's answered by 2 costumed criminals Matt doesn't recognize, but his super senses pick up a camera webbed to the ceiling. Spider-Man. Back at Nelson and Murdoch, Matt knows this has now become a job for Daredevil, and he goes to find Spider-Man. Daredevil interrupts some classic Peter Parker drama, and Spidey meets him on the roof. Spider-Man tells him he's been keeping tabs on his past foes that have gotten out of prison recently. First, Hydro Man is the toughest to take down, since his body's made out of water. He's hard to hit, and after fighting him, you gotta put your super suit through the dryer. Second is Shocker, who shockingly sucks at being a super criminal, even though his tech is pretty strong, with a shockwave gauntlet and a grid of wires running energy around his suit, making him impossible to hit directly. Third is a newcomer, Overdrive, who has the ability to turn normal vehicles into super vehicles. Last is Beetle, a deadly high-tech bug-themed pseudo-Iron Man, who was only loyal to the dollar. Spider-Man says he was waiting because he was outmatched by the 4 of them, but with Daredevil they should break in and see what's going on. Back at the villain's hideout, an old warehouse with busted windows and a smokestack. Inside they grill Overdrive on who was at the door. Then they go over their plan and get to the roof to scout the bank across the street. This bank is probably familiar to many 2012 Batman fans, as the base of it is the bank side build from the Batmobile and Two-Face chase set. I just extended it by a floor and consolidated the gold bits into a spire over the left door section. Backside bottom floor is pretty much the same, and the upstairs is a safety deposit room and gold storage. A single night guard radios in that things are fine before a stream of water erupts from the camera, shorting it out and also getting into the walkie-talkie. The water spills out and forms into Hydro Man in front of the guard. Downstairs, Hydro Man lets Shocker in through the front. Nearby, Overdrive steals a bicycle from a helpless bystander and turns it into a super bike and takes it to the bank. Spider-Man and Daredevil arrive just as Shocker blasts out the front glass to allow Overdrive to hook up the safe and drive away, but Spider-Man has other plans. He brings the bike to a halt with a web line and flings it backwards through the opening in the bank and takes out Shocker. Overdrive watches from stuck under his oversized bike. Inside, our heroes face off with Hydro Man, who isn't fazed as Daredevil's stick goes straight through him. They brawl and are distracted as there's one villain unaccounted for. The Beetle lands on the roof, goes through the skylight, skips over all the gold, and goes for the safety deposit box. He opens it and takes out a letter, and he flies off just as on the ground floor, Daredevil uses Shocker's gauntlet to destabilize Hydro Man in a puddle. They may have stopped the robbery, but on the other side of New York, the Kingpin is very happy